Klaus. I'm the senior editor of video at Escapist, and you're here for Rise of Streaming. So I'm sure a lot of people probably figured out that streaming has been becoming a vastly larger thing in the last 5 years. We've gone from very simple beginnings to just now, sites are getting millions and millions of hits. Just as a quick show of hands, how many people, at least once a week, watch some kind of stream? Pretty much everybody. So I've gathered a nice group of panelists here who all can talk on the subject. So we have Matt Swinky from Smash Games.
How's it going?
Aaron Butler from Insomniac Games, who's also Mr. Fireside on Twitch. Todd Harris, CEO of High Res Studios. They make Tribes of Stand and Smite. Yes. And John Payne, TotalBiscuit YouTube show. So, what are you guys' thoughts on just kind of the streaming scene so far as it is right now?
As far as what?
Just what do you feel like it's bringing to gaming in general?
The thing that I like about streaming, well, I think when I watch streams most of the time, it's more of like the esports side of things. So it's one of those things where you watch and you kind of realize that this could be a thing that could actually be on television because the broadcasts are actually super professional for the most part. And I don't know, something about the shoutcasting makes it really exciting to watch. So that's mostly what I watch streaming for is esports stuff. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same, not so much the esports, but I mean, I really haven't watched, it's funny, I haven't watched much of television at all. Probably in months, once I kind of came across, I started with YouTube and then kind of graduated into Twitch. And there are certainly several broadcasters that I watch purely from an entertainment standpoint. Usually it's daily, like on my phone or kind of a window when I'm working at night, so before I start streaming. So just the entertainment value that I'm getting out of the Twitch streams has been immense. It's like watching people play games that I might have interest in, coming across games that I might not be sure about, so it's like a live action let's play. Or just games that I like playing myself, constantly. So like watching somebody else play who might be, rather entertaining at the same time. Just it's like background noise.
So you found that streaming has replaced much of the other media that you consume?
For me, yeah. So I can live vicariously through coworkers who talk about Breaking Bad or other shows that are really nice out there. But I just haven't watched or just haven't had any interest in it because it's been Twitch has been just as much enjoyment as I can as I need right now.
Todd, what about you?
Well, I'd say some of the rises due to the increased production values that were mentioned. I mean, tonight I believe is the world finals of League of Legends, right? So the stuff that Riot has been doing is just insane with production values, and I think it's helped the entire esports scene because the quality level is starting to rival what you find on broadcast if you were watching traditional sports. So we give them a lot of credit, and then as a developer, it's kind of interesting because we actually think our games get better by streaming the game. So we actually made a decision, I guess it was 2 years ago with the game Tribes, just kind of as a lark, we organized a Reddit versus 4chan online match.
Which went about as well as you could expect, right?
But we were kind of blown away. We had Mark, who's active in the community in those scenes, and he was doing shoutcasting, and it was not very formal. It was not a Riot level World Series, but I mean, there were like 5,000 people that were watching this thing, and this was just organized, a weekend or whatever. So we were pretty. That was kind of a wake-up call for us that wow, this is like a thing, So we made the decision then that we would start doing a lot of stuff on Twitch and the game Smite. Let's just all the time have someone in the studio playing Smite. Maybe it'll be someone that people could watch because of entertaining personality, or maybe it'll be to learn from an esports angle. And we can talk more about it, but it's been a good thing. It's definitely helped people discover the game, people get tips on how to play the game better, and just be entertained.
Right.
So I think you'll probably see more and more developers kind of do that in addition to community members. If they're smart, I think they should.
John, what are you all the way at the end?
Well, streaming at the moment is in this interesting spot where it's growing exponentially and the facilities to watch it aren't keeping up with it. So we are having a lot of problems, particularly Worlds breaks everything, which is never stream during Worlds unless you absolutely adore the idea of people not being able to watch you, because your stream will not to be running all that well, and will have issues there. It has actually caused problems. It's funny that you mentioned that it was good for all of esports. Like, ask any other esports event that's on during Worlds and see if they agree with you.
Yeah.
Mostly because their servers aren't going to work properly, and they're going to have lag problems. We've run into it with WCS and things like that.
Because everyone does October.
Yeah, for some reason they do. And the interesting thing about streaming right now is that the idea of it rivaling TV quality and saying, hey, this could be on TV, something that was mentioned earlier, it could, but it shouldn't. And it doesn't need to be, because streaming has essentially made television irrelevant in terms of the way that we consume our media. We like to consume our media either on demand or in this uncut live way where we actually have direct interaction with the people that are creating the media. That does not exist in TV, and as a result, television is losing its relevance to this particular generation of audience, particularly tech-savvy, and gaming in general has taken advantage of that in a way that we haven't actually seen before.
Yeah. I think one other interesting thing is that streaming is becoming such a thing that a lot of games are actually starting to build in ways to watch other people through the game clients, which is sort of just another testament to how fast it's growing.
And many of the next-gen consoles are set up for streaming just right out of the box. So you hit a button and it'll start streaming straight for you.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they've been working on the accessibility side of it, because anyone that used to stream before the advent of things like XSplit and OBS and before Twitch TV even existed knew that it was a damn nightmare to actually pull that off.
Yeah.
You are running usually 3 different applications. You were running Flash Media Live Encoder, you were running most likely virtual audio cables, and probably some kind of virtual camera, which would be used to pull the gameplay through the software, through the encoder, and then kick it out there, which needed a monster rig to work properly. And if you wanted to do it properly, you really needed a second rig, and you just do HDMI capture out through that and do the encoding that way. But the accessibility standpoint has changed a lot in the last couple of years with XSplit, with OBS, if you want the kind of free experience there. And it's become a lot easier through accessibility with, I believe, Smite does have a streaming client within it. You can stream directly to Twitch using Smite, and that's pretty easy to do. Admittedly, what it has resulted in, what I've noticed, is that production values have kind of run into a sort of standstill, because what you can show directly from a game client or just by pulling gameplay is limited. And there's not that many streamers that take it further than just game and webcam. And some people don't even bother to frame the webcam, which is the most horrendous looking thing. It's just this ugly little box in the corner. It's like, some artist spent a year doing this UI and it looks absolutely beautiful, and your ugly mug is all over it.
Alright, so a couple of you guys hit on this. What do you think makes streaming so interesting to a wide variety of folks? And I'm actually going to throw it down to Gran there, who just snuck in. Sorry I'm late, I got taken to the wrong panel room.
Well, the question is, was that on purpose?
Hope not. Sorry, once again. So what is it that you think makes streaming so interesting? Why has it been growing so rapidly? What do people find fascinating about it that they're willing to? Like, the average stream viewer watches for like an hour and a half, whereas like you look at something like YouTube, and a 4-minute retention time is generally considered really good.
Well, I think it's something that John already touched on, which was just the interaction. Like this is something that we've discovered is a huge help. We do a fundraiser for Child's Play every year called Desert Bus, and we actually, it's funny you mentioned TV, because we found ourselves having to describe it in television terms as a telethon, because otherwise people don't
Get what it is.
Normal media doesn't understand what like a gaming marathon actually is. It's the most annoying thing. But actually, like, just interacting with people, like not that you have to respond to every single thing as a streamer, not that you have to respond to every single thing that goes by in the chat room, but just like
You shouldn't.
no, a lot of it, especially if you have just your chat going crazy, but just being able to interact with the person doing it, you know, and they have like a downtime or a loading screen or something, and they're like, oh yeah, so and so, that's a good point, or you know, they're answering questions. It's by its very nature hugely more engaging than just watching something on YouTube. Engagement has to be the reason that it's that.
Yeah, I think it sort of took what made YouTube popular, the ability to comment back and like converse with the people making the content, and just took it to the next level where it's now you can talk instantaneously, and also with other people in the chat room that are watching whatever it is.
I was just going to add, maybe this is just because of the size that we're at now, but I also see that the real-time aspect of the chat just to make the community a little friendlier.
Yeah.
Just maybe.
I'm sorry, what?
All right, you're wrong. I'm just saying, for our YouTube channel versus not, it's still anonymous, so it's still the internet. So I'm not saying it's a land of flowers and, you know.
I was going to say, is there some stream that I've missed here?
Well, I think come on, Smite stream. It's like a friendly bunch.
I think everyone's in on the same jokes, though. You know. So even when it's a nasty environment, everyone's sort of on the same page.
Well, everyone kind of knows the Twitch chat is bad, so they're in on the joke that it's bad.
Yeah.
So a lot of the toxic nature of the chat is actually kind of ironic.
Self-referential.
Yeah, very much. Kappa.
But then you have some of the streamers that have like subscriptions and stuff will go sub-only mode.
Yep,
So
exactly.
To prevent that.
That is wonderful.
I know.
I recommend it to everybody.
Well, now some of them are, feel kind of bad about it. One of the guys that I watched, Legal Friday, he kind of did it, and he didn't want to, but because like the toxicity that was, and the kind of chat that he wants to have, and the community that he wants to flourish, it's like it was like a big deal of circumstances.
Well, the fact that you do have those controls, I mean, you can put it on a little, you can slow it down, you can make it sub-only.
Yeah, slow it down, stuff like that.
Is that something that you can toggle on and off?
Yeah.
If you have a Twitch subscription system set up, then you can do it that way, that can be pretty useful. We went perma-sub only a year ago, and honestly the feedback we've had from non-subs is good because they can read the chat now, instead of it being a mess, and we get too many concurrent viewers to ever possibly survive doing non-sub chat. It would be unreadable. And that's what we're not even talking about toxicity, it just moves too quickly, even with slow mode on.
Yeah, we do the same thing. So as a developer, once a week we're doing a patch of Smite, and we read the patch notes live. We talk about being brave. Those guys are on camera, every buff, every nerf, and it is kind of interesting because you see faster than forums, even faster than Reddit, what the people think. Well, they've even played the thing, but still, what the first impression is on them, and we do that every single week. And so we do the same thing we'll keep it all chat for a while, but if it gets too fast or too bad, we can turn on sub-only and slow it down.
And Twitch is very much aware that that's a problem. They have been implementing modes to get around that without having to basically use the nuclear option of sub-only. /R9 Kane beta is a very useful command, simply because it prevents you from typing the same line twice within a certain period of time. And this applies to everyone in the chat, so instead of having 300 kappas just going on over the course of 2 seconds.
KPM up though.
Yeah, you do. You're going to increase that KPM. You can stop the KPM completely unless they put a slight variant on it. So people type like kappa 1 and kappa 2 and nonsense like that, but it does reduce it a hell of a lot. And it's interesting because Twitch chat's like a giant couch, and everyone's sitting on that couch watching the game, but they probably hate each other and they hate the game. But it can still be a really cool environment. And it's the idea of watching a video becomes a social experience. But we have to now deal with the problem of having a social experience with 20,000 people we don't know, and how on earth those group dynamics actually work.
Yeah, I think I'm probably going to be one of the smaller streamers up here. So like my channel, you have like 8 to 9, 10 people. I think the most I've had at once was 150 when her State of Decay came out. That kind of freaked me out. So I don't even have any mods yet.
We had 37K at one point, I think.
Yeah,
that was a nightmare. That was impossible to handle.
Yeah, I see all these streams and I dread the day that I'm going to have to, because the interaction that I have with my folks and a lot of the regulars who come into the chat is really personable. So,
yeah.
Games that I'm streaming now, I'm playing like a Minecraft mod, like UHS 2, and like people come in and ask me like silly questions or questions that have already been answered, but I'll answer them, because it's totally possible to be the one-on-one like immediacy. And like in the other chats that have like 37,000 people or 20,000 people, it's like I can't even process how you actually even manage it.
Even in sub-only mode there, you still have a problem with relating to people because there are so many subscribers, you can't necessarily remember them all. And even when you're doing a Q&A, it's like, how do I keep up with this? Even if only a fraction of the subscribers turned up for the Q&A, it's still a massive number of questions coming at you.
Yeah. I've also found, like, when you're actually playing the game, when I first started streaming, I think I would average like 20 viewers. I'm up to like 80 to 100 range. But even in the 80-100 range, like if I'm trying to play a game and then also talk to people at the same time, it is like way too much, even with just that small number.
Yeah. I generally ignore the chat while I'm playing something, and now look at it after the game. Since I play a lot of games that are shorter sessions, so I'll stream StarCraft, which will be maybe a 15-minute match, or I'll stream Hearthstone, same kind of thing.
Right.
It can wait until the end, and then the discussion can happen after that, and then you queue for another one. But doing it in the middle of a game would be fairly insufferable, I think.
I guess you need to have like tools that would, I don't know, it seems like a problem that could be addressed somehow. I don't know how they would do it. It's almost like even with the chat would like pull out random questions for you. Or if you had like 20,000 people, you would just pull out like a random question that would like put it up there for you.
Yeah, some guys got pretty innovative with that. They've set up some bots and things, but they're not directly set up. Twitch doesn't directly support them. It's just something that they've done themselves. And some guys got pretty savvy about it. There is a streamer for Hearthstone called Trump who actually does run his chat as an overlay on the window, which is brave. But and it works pretty well for him for the most part, because he understands the game so well that a lot of the times he's just basically shooting the chat down, which is pretty funny. The chat suggests him, it's like, no, it's bad because of this. And it's actually a nice dynamic, because I think a lot of people watch that stream to learn, and they will learn a lot by him telling them why they were dumb and how to fix that.
So where do you guys see kind of streaming going from here? Todd already kind of hinted on, traditionally the kind of setup was, here's your game, you know, maybe you put a webcam on, and it was just kind of playing. But now, like, streaming has even started to be used for things like, you know, podcasts, patch notes, and stuff like that. What other ways do you think it will expand?
I think the professionalism will only increase. I watch a lot of Dota streams. It's like a game I'm into a lot, and there's this one studio called Beyond the Summit, and they do a really great job. I've actually visited the studio, but they have like this kind of virtual TriCaster set up, and they can like bring up player bios and profiles of teams and stuff, so they do an amazing job. They're like one of sort of the examples of, I think, the next step where they really take it to a 100% professional broadcast level.
If you can do that, it's great. The main problem with doing that is not that it's difficult. With something like XSplit, it's fairly easy, especially with the later beta versions of XSplit now allow you to set up scenes without them showing on the stream, which is a huge deal, because for something like esports tournaments, which I run, I've got to deal with things like scoreboards, I've got to deal with things like player bios, but I don't have a team, I do it all myself. But there's a limit to what you can do yourself. If you have even 2 people, you can do exponentially more with that. And perhaps we will see, instead of individual streaming, we will see people kind of grouping together and getting this idea, what if I did have a producer? What if he was the one controlling XSplit on a different monitor and was dealing with that stuff, and what more could we do with that? And the answer is like, it's almost limitless to what you could do with that.
So we also have what the kind of the TV crew set up where you got people in the back like producing, you know, running all the machines, the person, you were purely the broadcaster. And then you got like, you know, somebody communicating like camera 1, camera 2, and all that. And you need a script possibly being read.
Yeah, certainly. And you can do most of that virtually as well. XSplit can switch between 12 scenes dynamically, so that's basically a camera 1, camera 2. But you don't necessarily want to be controlling that as the streamer, which is why a lot of streamers will maybe use 2 or 3 scenes for the most part. It's like game scene, full screen cam, and maybe here's my break screen. And that's about as advanced as it goes. But if you do get a producer in there, then you can do so much more with that. And perhaps we'll see a lot more of that even from just regular streamers, because they just want to do more with it and they want to produce content that's more interesting and more engaging.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a lot more at both ends of the spectrum. So as it becomes more accessible, as the console's integrated, as anyone can easily stream, there's going to be a lot of crap out there. But the tools will hopefully evolve, I mean, for people to, you know, sit through that. But then you're right, I mean, what used to take a TV production truck going to a live event with satellite, and I mean now is, you know, a TriCaster box, and yeah, there's a manpower issue still, but the hardware and software is very portable. So I definitely see increased production. And what I was just going to say, we think about it, I mean, like you said, it's better than TV because our audience is not watching TV; they're already on the internet anyway, and they're one click away from downloading and playing our game. So we think of it like TV, and at this point, we try to have interesting programming all the time, and we try all sorts of wacky ideas. It might be patch notes, it might be, we have a community art show where we're showing the best pieces that artists have submitted, and we show artists working on things in progress. Some of them were hits and some of them were flops, but it's real easy to cancel a show or start a new one. So I think you'll see more and more types of runs.
And I definitely liked what you were saying about actually just streaming your game, even like in a beta process when you're trying to get feedback on the game in general. I hope more developers actually start doing that, because I think it's a great way for people that maybe don't even have access to the beta to get involved with something that they care about in the early stages.
Yeah, I mean, it's been going even further than that lately. You've seen those doing Kickstarters, doing basic development stuff on stream.
Right.
You know, it's like, and trying to explain concepts like, well, here I'm coding this part of the AI. Here's how it works. I know you can't read this code to save your life, but I'll try and explain it in layman's terms. A lot of artists have been doing that kind of thing as well. Here's me designing a character, and here's me doing the modeling and things like that. And it's good to get that kind of stuff out there because it educates the audience on what the game development process actually involves. And I feel if the more that you do that, the less toxic the audience will end up being, because they will understand the process better, so they will not suddenly lash out at something they don't really understand why it ended up being that way, because they've seen it built and they understand the work that goes into it.
Nice.
Something that can really benefit not just that particular product too, but I mean educating the general public. People can then even spread the word, like somebody can be like, oh, well, it's being developed this, but no, I saw the guy do it like in real time, and that's why it's like this. It's like, oh. But yeah, I think from like a developer standpoint, like you were talking about, like it's like a real-time usability test in a way. You know, we do usability tests on games that we make and stuff. You know, but you have it's all, you know, people in the office, all professional. You know, but if you've got this audience, and you have like these people that want to play these games, and like people like give feedback in real time, and like you just take notes and like just kind of, like, and you can do private streams as well. So if it's, you know, it's still a secret, you can still do it that way. But it seems like a really big benefit for developers to like take advantage of like having people play, like get all this real-time feedback and stuff. And you can hook up like hook up metrics and stuff to that at the same time. That's even better.
It's a massive crowdsourced focus group essentially, which is incredibly useful to be able to do.
So what kind of games do you guys enjoy streaming and why?
I guess I just enjoy streaming the games that I like playing, so mostly MOBAs or ARTS, whatever you want to call them, and then first-person shooters. So I'll play CSGO, I'll play Dota, I'll play Smite. That's basically it.
Yeah, playing definitely in my set of, before I started streaming, like a big feedback that other streamers would give to people that would ask them, play the games you want to play. You know, because people can pick up if you're just playing a game for whatever reason you're not really enjoying it. I mean, it's going to affect your cast. So I definitely take that to heart. I basically just play. If I play games, I'm basically streaming it. That's kind of where I thought it would be fun. That's kind of what I do. So I play a variety show basically. I'm playing Minecraft right now. I'm playing Battlefield 4 Beta. You know, I play through Dishonored. Basically anything aside from like, you know, hardcore racing games like NASCAR and stuff. I mean, or sports games, I'll probably play it. So
yeah, mainly competitive games in order to learn. And the other thing that I haven't done yet, but a story-driven game. I mean, I've kind of envisioned. I know I'm very late to play this Grand Theft, but I'm literally like, I'm thinking I might rather watch that personally and just watch someone go through it and get it that way. I don't know. We'll see. I'll let you know how it goes. But.
For me, it's competitive games as well, aside from the idea that half the streaming I do is also commentary. So it would be esports commentary without me playing. I will be commentating on somebody else playing, and then I'll do my own personal streams, which is generally StarCraft and Hearthstone. They seem to go down pretty well. And I avoid story-driven single-player games because I feel that versus, say, 400 people in a studio developing the next AAA title, my commentary is not going to be worth jack shit. And I do not want to be talking over a voice actor that was paid real money to come in and actually use their talent to do that. I don't want to talk over cutscenes that someone took months to animate and properly put together. And there are very few examples, I feel, of where that's valuable. It can be used to get an interesting first impression for a lot of games. So maybe you just need a little bit of real footage from a game. It's not the 2-minute marketing trailer. You don't trust the reviews. You want to see someone actually playing it. That can be valuable as a consumer, very much so. And it could also be valuable to avoid terrible things like Ride to Hell Retribution. I did a stream of that solely because I didn't want to do a real video of it, because I would have to play more of it in order to get that impression. But that was, not only was that funny for a lot of people, it was useful from a consumer standpoint because they saw just how dreadful it was and my immediate honest reactions to how dreadful it was. So they hopefully didn't buy it. I really hope they didn't. Oh, yeah.
I prefer doing the things that you said to avoid. I mean, I like playing the sort of the single player story-driven games from a perspective of like the value that I'm hopefully giving is entertainment. Like I'm coming at it from a sort of like a Mystery Science Theater aspect. You know, like it's a goofy playthrough is basically what we're doing. When we do Let's Plays, we're not doing Let's Plays to, you know, like let's see how the game turns out. It's let's rip this thing apart. And we also stream Magic the Gathering just because we love Magic, but we don't make fun of that. We just
play Magic.
We just do goofy,
Can I make fun of it?
Goofy crap. Please, go ahead. We just do bad draft strategies. Terrible picks.
That's actually the way to get a lot of people to watch it. We found the same thing with Hearthstone. There's going to be those two extremes, yeah? There's the people that are pretty good at it, and they get a lot of views, and then there are the people that are astonishingly bad at it and get more views. And it comes down to...
We're decent and get middling views.
You never want to be decent at anything, trust me. Either be astonishingly bad or terrifically amazing.
We're decent at the play, but we're good at the comedy.
Yeah,
so that's where we come from.
It works on pretty well. I mean, it's also why competitive gaming in general is a good bit of stream fodder, because every game will turn out differently. When you stream a single player game, it's probably going to turn out the same way regardless, especially if it happens to be a heavily scripted title. Every match of Hearthstone's different, every match of StarCraft's different, and people enjoy that fact. And I enjoy it from a creative standpoint because I don't feel like I'm piggybacking on someone else's work to make ad revenue, you know? And if I'm playing the competitive game, at least the story of that game exists solely because I played that, not because someone else wrote a cutscene and had it voice acted.
And to your point, if you look at like analytics and stuff, I tend to get more interaction in the chat when I'm playing poorly than when I'm playing well.
Yep.
Interaction.
I could play a perfect game where I go 30-0 in Hearthstone with the best plays, and I'll still have someone tear it apart, and it's like, you could have won 2 turns earlier by doing this, this, and this.
Suboptimal plays.
I'm so sorry for my suboptimal plays.
Terrible. Sorry. So, like, a lot of the gaming streams seem to kind of come down to either the side of I'm competitive and I'm probably better at this game than you, and you're watching to learn something, or I'm entertaining and we're all kind of in this and we're experiencing this together. Do you feel like either one of those two is more valuable to streaming in general, or either one is kind of driving the increasing numbers?
Well, I think it can be both, and I think League of Legends streamers are probably the best example, because you've got some high-end League of Legends streamers that are also highly entertaining, but they're entertaining not only in their commentary. Being entertaining in commentary, that's pretty cool. If you can be entertaining in commentary and your gameplay by doing something a little bit out of the ordinary, maybe you do a troll strat in some game or whatever, but you can play it well and you can also commentate well, that's the magic combination, and that's why people like, say, CivHD were able to get 50k concurrent viewers and get up to those absurd heights that single streamers generally only dream of. As to what's driving it, it depends on the game. I know a lot of people watch League to learn League, but then there is, of course, the audience that just watches to be entertained because they're familiar with League, so the entertainment they want to consume is League related. So it does come down on a game-by-game basis, and maybe when a game's in beta, they just watch because they want to consume that game. It doesn't matter who's streaming it, they just want to watch someone half-decent play it, and they just want to consume all the media related to it.
Yeah, I think in general people tend to subscribe to personalities more, because when you're looking at a competitive game, I think there are a lot of people, I mean maybe not a ton of people, but there are a lot of people streaming that are at least really good, if not like on the highest level. But people tend to want to subscribe, I think, to people that are also entertaining, like John was saying. So.
Yeah, it's an example. StarCraft is a prime example of that. There's a lot of people that are very, very good at StarCraft. Most of them happen to be in Korea, and a lot of those guys do not get watched at all. And it's very difficult as a top-tier Korean player to break through unless you already have a brand and a personality in and of itself. Just the very notion of speaking English on a Korean stream skyrockets the viewership, and you will see a lot of that there, and there are so many good players that just don't get attention, and then the highest rated players, for the most part, they're not the top, but they're definitely good enough where you would learn something as, you know, your average layman gamer, but you will also be entertained by the persona that's being put on there.
Right. So what do you guys see streaming kind of going for the future? I mean, we're already hitting these massive esport events that are drawing in 30 million viewers. I mean, that's more so than many major television productions, their premieres. Do you think it will just keep growing from here? Do you think we'll eventually hit some kind of cap as to how big they'll get?
Lag. That's right, we're already hitting the cap. That's the main problem. Zubu TV is difficult to actually get a partnership with, assuming you'd even want to, which leaves you with YouTube, which also is difficult to get access to unless you have a partnership, and then is also limited in what you can do with it. You can't mid-roll monetize, say, you can't monetize a break like you could on Twitch, where you just, oh, I'm going to break for 30 seconds, hit an ad, that's the way you generate your revenue there. You can't do that on YouTube, and the chat system is abysmal. So there's definitely problems there, and I think we're going to be limited just by how capable these services are. Twitch is the most capable right now, but it still has problems. Everyone's come across a Twitch stream of a tournament they wanted to watch and not have it work properly, and that's still a problem, especially for Europeans, who are still supposedly getting data centers that don't seem to be doing anything. So we're running into a technology problem. We can do the streams, we have the tech to create the streams, but do the providers who we are relying on to get our streams out actually have the tech to keep it running reliably?
Yeah, I mean, it came out just, I think a week or two ago that a venture capital firm invested like $20 million into Twitch.
Yes, they did.
For the next generation. Like, they know that it's going to be a lot more people streaming when the next gen consoles come out. And so it's like, here's all this money, make it better, make us the money back.
Yeah, that's one of the things that is frustrating for me, being, I'm not a Twitch partner, so I basically have to rely on what I can put out there. And I know if you're a partner, you get access to different codecs. So people, if you stream at 1080p, people can go down to 720 or 480 or even 3, depending how bad or good your connection is. I don't have access to that, so obviously have stuck at like 720, 60 frames. But even then, people will come in and say like, it's choppy, but I have no drop frames. It's like I have to apologize, and then they leave. And I've lost a lot of people who just can't watch like this. I won't say average stream, but it feels like an average stream to me.
Yeah.
They just can't watch it because I can't provide them with this feature, which seems like it should be available to. I mean, I don't know the technicalities of it. So I'm obviously speaking from like a layman's term. So it's more like a wish. Like it'd be great to have more people to have that ability.
Yeah.
And hopefully, with all the venture funding that they get, that they can provide the technology, and so it isn't so stressful for Twitch to do that. I mean, I don't know what it takes to do that, but to have that option would be amazing. Because you want to get viewers, but you lose viewers because I can't offer them a quality stream.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about transcoding on Twitch's end, essentially. So they're having to transcode your source file into several other resolutions and then stream them simultaneously with them, because otherwise you'd have, say, 240p would be 3 minutes behind the rest of them, which would be disastrous. And that's pretty heavy to do, but the weird thing is they don't allow non-partners to do it when the non-partners don't have that many viewers anyway, so it wouldn't be that much load to actually allow them to do it in the first place. So I would hope that they would enable that, frankly. But they have a lot of other issues. And last week we were streaming the Co-optional podcast, and the first hour was a disaster because the ingest server that we were streaming to simply wasn't working correctly. There was no warnings of that, but we just had a bunch of dropped frames for no reason. And then we switched out to another ingest server, and we didn't have a drop frame for 2 hours. And it's still all of those annoying little issues that you don't see coming and that you never are alerted to in any way that can derail your entire live show. And consider how many viewers you lose if you're dropping frames hard during the first hour of your show.
Yeah, I think and we see some of those issues as well. The Twitch, what's the path? I mean, all the issues are ones that come with growth and popularity of the platform, right? So money that's there to build more servers, to know more clients are coming. So I think that, the future is very bright. There's definitely going to be bumps.
There'll be a lot of bumps.
Yeah.
Are there any other, so there was mentioned earlier some more additional chat options, and now we're kind of more resolution options. Are there anything else that you would really like to see in the next couple of months kind of come out from either Twitch or XSplit or OBS in terms of like technology or just better ways to interface?
If XSplit would stop crashing, that would be nice. The main problem with XSplit at the moment is the features that I need as someone that produces tournaments, basically the preview options and the ability to change scenes without you guys seeing me doing it. I mean, you've probably all seen a stream where someone's trying to resize an image and it's going all over the place. Like even so-called professional podcasts are running at that problem because they don't have the means to do it. But the beta version that we're being offered that allows you to do that is also unstable, so it's going to cause problems here and there. And XSplit, for the most part, is just a stability issue. They seem to have nailed the performance down pretty well. It used to be a massive performance hog. Now their new codecs are just much better, they're much more efficient on the CPU, and obviously since CPU technology continues to advance, it becomes easier and easier to stream in high quality without nuking your frame rate. So that's good, but with OBS, of course, since it's an open source program, you're relying on those guys getting the features in that you want, and also creating a UI that isn't utterly hideous and difficult to use, because that's usually the last priority of them, to polish up the UI and make it a little bit more user-friendly.
Yeah. If they could just combine the two, because the thing I found about OBS is that it uses way less resources, so not only is it easier to play and stream, but it's better from a viewer's perspective because there's less lag a lot of times.
Yeah. You'll just get less frame drop, and OBS in general, it's very good for streaming certain games.
Yeah, but then on the XSplit side of things, it's way more professional, and if I set up all my scenes beforehand, I can have hotkeys to switch between them, but it uses way more resources, and so from just streaming at home, it's harder to watch if it's like a higher quality game like Battlefield or something.
Certainly, yeah. They're definitely getting there with it. The beta I'm using now, I can do 60 FPS on XSplit via direct software capture, which before that was not even going to be a thing. OBS used to be the way that you got that done. Now you can do it with XSplit's beta. So they are catching up on the performance side, but if you're wanting to stream 60 FPS, especially 1080p, and you want to do it without having a monster rig, then OBS is the best option for you.
What is, going down real quick, what is everybody's current rate, or how do you guys set up your streams?
I set mine up with XSplit. I just kind of bite the bullet. I tend to play games that require less graphical power, at least right now, so I use XSplit. It's just the easiest, most user-friendly. You don't have to do things like find your Twitch key or anything like that when you're trying to set up your streams. It's just like username and password, and you're ready to go, so that's what I use.
I tried out XSplit initially when I started streaming. When I wasn't sure about if I wasn't wanting to keep doing this and invest in XSplit, I went switched over to OBS and had no problems with it. Was using OBS for quite a long time until just recently, last couple of patches, my mic and the audio just cut out for no reason. I have to stop the stream and restart it again, which sucks. So apparently it's going to be fixed in a future release. So I've actually gone back to XSplit and actually had a 3-month trial period card still from the live V-Racing card that I bought. So that actually still worked, and so I'm basically using XSplit right now, so far without any errors. But the performance, I think, is definitely still the trouble version still out there. So like Battlefield's a little, I guess I have 100 FPS, but I can feel a little bit of weirdness, like a little bit of resource hogging.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, if as soon as OBS comes back, I definitely have no problem with going back to OBS.
We do all three, depending on the streamer. Majority of them use XSplit, some use OBS. We did build into Smite using a software development kit from Twitch, the ability to do it right from the game. The idea was, hey, you don't want to mess with these tools, just hit a button and say broadcast, you want your webcam on or off and be able to do it. And it works, but the performance is not as good as either of those other two. You need a really good PC in order to do it. So we're trying to make that better. Twitch is trying to make it better, but it's a third option that we do as well.
Yeah, I had no luck with OBS. We did one podcast using it and it shredded the board. So we basically lost the show that way. We decided not to use it from that point. XSplit had performance problems for a while until they upgraded me to a beta version, which I'm hoping to give you guys eventually, because their new game source capture is way more efficient and you will get that 60 FPS performance, and it won't nuke your system as hard as the older XSplit did. But I was using it back then for a while. I considered hardware solutions just because back then getting 60 frames was difficult with XSplit and it was crunching my CPU really hard, so I did pick up another media card and I had decent success with it. But for the most part, OBS currently can't do the things that I needed to do all of the kind of shows that I want to stream live, so I stick with XSplit, and it's still got a few problems. Anyone that listens to my shows every now and again will notice my mic starts to get a bit choppy, and that happens for about a minute and then it clears itself up. They don't have no idea what's happening. Like the split media guys don't know what causes it, but it's still there and it's been there for 2 years. And another thing that I would say that just all of this software needs to work on is the idea of ASIO support, which is used basically on higher end audio interfaces, which means what you can get is you can have equalization, you can have compression, you can normalize, you can noise gate and things like that, which all in all is going to make your audio sound better across the board. And right now, neither program properly supports that. So if you do compression or anything on your audio interface, XSplit will ignore it entirely. which is really unfortunate. And it also means that that just limits the audio quality you can get on a stream. So that's why you go on a lot of streams and someone starts screaming for whatever reason, and suddenly it blows your ears out because their mic is clipping really badly, and that's something that kind of thing would solve.
Yeah, to that point, and to what you were asking earlier about how to make things better, I think that would be great is if streaming technology had more options for just EQing stuff.
Yes,
or,
built-in would be great. I mean, you want to bypass the need for ASIO support, then put some compression, put some EQ and normalization and silence detection in the actual program itself.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Since streaming PC games is not really a big deal for us, we stream primarily from Macs. So for Desert Bus, we use a combination of CamTwist and a Flash Media Live encoder. CamTwist is free, and it's a simple, weird little app that actually I wish there was a better. I wish there was a better option because it does some things that are a little weird, but it actually is. It puts in work, darn it. If you have a Mac, CamTwist is definitely something you want to check out. And then there's a tiny app that Apple made once and pretends that it doesn't exist anymore, but you can still download, called QuickTime Broadcaster, that uses like no system resources and can see CamTwist as a camera and just sends information to Twitch. And it, like, if you try and install it on current systems, it's like, this is from an unknown developer. Are you sure you want to install it? It's like, Apple, you idiots. But it's a great little app. And now for doing stuff with 360 and PS3 console games, now we actually just have switched over recently to an all-in-one program called Wirecast, which is not cheap, but boy, it gets you there. And it's Windows and Mac. It does some nice stuff.
Well, I wanted to leave plenty of time for any questions you guys have, so feel free to line up at the mic.
Question one.
Now I feel awkward. I just was thinking the other day, it's because there are people who actually make a living on broadcasting, which I think is really cool in and of itself, but especially because Twitch is basically a monopoly. Twitch must be making so much money, and I'm wondering, like, what you like, because this is about streaming, so I'm wondering how you guys feel about the monopolization of streaming, and also the idea that, like, while you guys are doing all this cool stuff, there is this company that's actually taking a large amount of this money because they're just good at it.
Well, the problem with Twitch monopolization started really when Owned went down the toilet. Sounds of it, that was for the best, considering they weren't paying anybody, which is not a particularly good way to do your business. But I think there will be more competition as Google takes it more seriously. You can YouTube live stream and it works fairly well. The problem is it's not available to everybody and it doesn't have the feature set that streamers generally need. Twitch is far in advance in that respect. And even when Owned was around, Twitch was still better. The reality of the situation is Twitch is the best we got. And it's got a lot of problems, but it's still pretty good for the most part. As for Twitch to take a lot of money, I don't know necessarily if they do. Obviously they're going to take a decent cut of the CPM from ads. The problem is, Twitch currently doesn't have a great fill rate, which means that every time I hit that ad button, maybe 25–30% of people will see it, and it won't run an ad for anybody else. And that for Twitch is just bandwidth wasted, because you've got a guy that's sitting there, especially if they're in a country that doesn't have a lot of ads sold to them. Let's say you're in Bulgaria. Twitch probably doesn't have a sales team in Bulgaria, and they certainly don't have a lot of ads running there. So the Bulgarians are sitting there watching streams for hours and hours, consuming 1080p, 60 FPS video, and Twitch is getting nothing from it. You want to talk about the biggest kind of scam that Twitch has got going on, it's Twitch Turbo. $8.99 a month is far more, like, it's orders of magnitude more than you would ever earn them through ads. You can watch streams all the time and you will make them a couple of cents. But for Twitch Turbo, you're paying them $9 a month. Now, if you want to see where they're making huge bank, it's there. It's not the streamers that are making money from that. They're supposedly, you get the ad impression. That doesn't matter. You talk about a $2 to $3 CPM. CPM, by the way, meaning every 1,000. You can do basic mathematics in your head and say just how much an impression matters there. And the answer is it doesn't. So, I wouldn't say they're making huge bank off the back of streamers, and I think that it's a privilege to be able to stream someone else's work and make money from it. And I'm very thankful to developers that are understanding about that, because you could get aggressive with it. But I don't necessarily think they're making huge amounts. There's just little weird things here and there like Turbo that just don't sit right with me.
I wanted to see you guys talk today because I am not a big fan of streaming. I know lots of friends who love it. They want to watch it every day. They can't get enough of it. My question, guys, is this. With the advent of the new console systems coming out and the audience that you've got now already, on top of that, what do you guys think are going to be the big content draws that bring people to watch, be it on a console or a PC? We're going to be having so much more of this happening within the next generation.
Personality of the person doing it.
Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to is something I hit on earlier, where people tend to watch and subscribe to personalities more so than just someone playing a game. So yes, there'll be a lot more people, but there's also probably millions of people making gaming videos on YouTube, and I think there's still sort of the top YouTube people that stand out because of the personalities that they have online. So I think that's the answer.
Yeah, it's people that you watch YouTube, videos for usually most of the time for the personality. And I know that's usually why I watch a lot of learning something. It's the same thing why I subscribe to the Twitch channels that I subscribe to, because the personality is what usually gets me. And I like the person, I like that they're funny or whatever. I know from a personal experience, my lived experience, people that choose to follow me, they usually will kind of comment on me as like a broadcaster, right? The quality of the stream, or like me as a person. That's why they choose to follow me. So it's kind of like that's why I follow other people, because of the personality. So you can't really replace the personality.
Yeah, personality and esports content
Yeah.
that will continue to rise, and that's the way we've set up the two channels that we kind of broadcast with the studio are Smite Game, which is more casual and personality driven, and you can see people be goofy and they've just got whatever their shtick is. And then we got Smite Pro, which is where you watch when you want to learn from the best players and you want to watch tournaments. But there may be other content, but those are the two categories that I see.
And I think people even tend to subscribe to personalities as far as esports, because someone can be broadcasting the same event, and I really like the way this guy casts versus the way this guy casts.
Definitely. That's definitely a thing, there's no question about that. You'll see wildly varying numbers for events cast by different people, and that's a metric that's easily publicly viewable, and I think everyone has their favorite caster that they'll come and watch. But I think with the advent of consoles, it's amplifying the whole need for a personality, because you've just basically unleashed a horde of teenagers onto Twitch, and they can all stream with a push of a button, which means that it's going to be a bit of a battle to rise to the surface, but when you do, you'll do so either through having an interesting personality or through having a lot of skill. And I anticipate there will be a massive rush every time a new game comes out, because everyone dreams of playing video games for a living, to just immediately bandwagon on that game. It's already pretty bad, it's going to get exponentially worse. So as a result, you're going to see only the best are kind of going to make their way through, or potentially only the worst. There are some people who are popular now that produce stuff that, quite frankly, I wish they wouldn't, but people like them, so they're going to have to make themselves stand out in some way.
Especially as the technology gets easier. Like, so it's for, let's say you have a great personality, but you don't have the technical know-how of how to run all of these different softwares. When it's just a button on your console, and if that button can provide a quality experience, I think you are going to see a big rise. And it doesn't necessarily be connected to any specific kind of content. You're just going to get a much larger pool of people, and as that, sure, 99% of them are probably going to be just really terrible and not worth your time to watch, but there's still going to be that 1% in there.
I'm actually curious to see how Twitch is going to deal with sort of that giant influx of people streaming, because
badly, I would imagine.
Yeah, that's what I'm imagining too, because it might. I mean, I'm sure they'll have more featured content for like people that are partners, like will get featured more often, but actually sifting through all that.
It's all about curation here, yeah. But that's difficult enough, even in itself. You look at the front page of Twitch, and it's like, well, who's up there? Well, usually the guy that paid to be there.
Right.
So, but I mean, they feature a lot of content on there, and you see what's on the front page, like, how many viewers does that have? Must have a lot. So it's on the front page, like, oh, so where did that come from then? But content curation right now is really done at a very basic level. It's done on a game-by-game basis. The most popular games are listed up there. You click that, you'll find the most popular streamer and you watch it. That, of course, is a terrible way of discovering new talent, and that's going to get much, much worse for Twitch. And whether they have an answer to that, well, Google doesn't. So that YouTube doesn't have an answer for that either. When people break through on YouTube, it certainly wasn't because Google helped them do it. So that's going to be a massive challenge. I'm not sure if it's even possible to fix.
I mean, it is an interesting challenge. The popular become popular because they're popular, right? So same with Reddit, same with YouTube, same with Twitch currently. We have partnered with Twitch and integrated. We got some good front page placement, but at this point, honestly, it doesn't affect our
No, it wouldn't. Yeah.
So it is. I mean, it works in its own weird internet way. I mean, there's things that'll be featured, but people tune in and they think it's crap and they drop off. But clearly, you're going to go first where you see what's everyone watching. Everyone's looking over there. I'm looking over there.
Right.
So. That's their current model.
Exactly. It's the rich get richer in that respect.
Yeah.
You know, if you're already a popular streamer, you will get more popular.
That's right. It's a challenge.
Alright, so I have 2 questions. First is, especially with like Planet Side, because its battles never end, there's this real bad thing going around that's stream sniping. People come into your stream, figure out where you are, and kill you. That's not cool, and I wanted to know what you guys, specifically TB, thought about that.
It's a gigantic pain in the arse, but thankfully for partners it's fairly easy to fix in the sense that you can put a stream delay on, which makes stream sniping very difficult. I've encountered stream sniping in StarCraft and to some degree in Hearthstone, but it's never really been too big a deal except when that person is also ghosting you. The term sniping and ghosting are 2 different things. Sniping is where you see someone streaming, you know they're about to queue up for a game, so you queue up at the same time and you try and get into their game, which is kind of annoying, but it's fine. Most matchmaking systems are set up fairly well to deal with that. Then you've got ghosting, which is cheating. So if I'm playing Hearthstone and someone can see my hand, I'm probably fucked. And a similar situation with StarCraft, if they see my base and my tech choice, then I'm screwed there as well. And then I've got to make the decision, do I put a delay on? Or do I keep the delay off? Because if I have a delay on, it makes interacting with the chat more difficult. And there has to be a balance there. Usually a 2-minute delay is more than enough to screw people over, especially since someone is so dumb they don't even realize there's a delay. So they're suddenly reacting to what you did 2 minutes ago, then they lose. It's beautiful. But
it can be a big problem with Magic Online as well.
Yeah.
But the problem that we have with that is, if you put a stream delay on, you can't talk to your chat about the decisions that you're making now. And there's no easy solution. I mean, I know that some of the bigger streamers have started actually obscuring their opponents' names, because what assholes in their chat would do is actually launch their own Magic Online and then send a message to the streamer's opponent and tell them what was in the streamer's hand. Yeah, so
that's the next level of dick back.
It's not even the opponent going, oh, he's a streamer, I'll go see what's up. It's the chat room being, they've actually, so if...
That's smart.
Yeah, so if a Magic streamer is streaming like an actual, like a PTQ, like a big event that actually is not just a random draft, they will usually like obscure their hand and stuff so that the viewers on their stream can see no more information than the people that they're actually playing against.
Yeah,
so that's not an option for a lot of games.
Yeah.
They actually had to change some of it, like specifically for Magic, because people could go back and watch, like, oh, that's the deck this guy is playing, those are the cards he's playing. They've changed some of the rules so that like deck lists are open to everybody now when they get into the top 8s, because they could just go back and watch it. And so either they make it all available or they have to do
it would be redundant, wouldn't it? So what's the point? You might as well legitimize it.
Yeah. Although the really infamous one, there's a reason why very few people ever stream EVE Online, because they will come and find you and blow you up.
Steal all your stuff.
Because that has money in it.
It does.
It's funny, like hearing the graduation of cheaters and like in Twitch makes me think of like it's not just like broadcasting and streaming that's it's elevating, but it's also like, these issues are also going to be an issue. Like everything's going to grow up. Like people will always find a way to screw over and to troll a broadcaster.
Yeah, I mean,
so
I think
solutions to that also need to kind of graduate along with like the technology.
I think that the simplest solution is you just put a small delay on the stream. It was kind of a shame at first because I would used to try to like advertise my stream by making my name like twitch.tv/70 like in game, but then it just attracted everyone on the opponent's team to be like, oh, let's go watch his stream right now and see what he's playing.
Not a good idea.
Yeah, some like DayZ players that I'll watch, that a few of them like they have like a changing servers screen, they block out the chat and stuff. I think most of them just kind of get to the point where like thousands of people watch them, and it's going to happen. So like a lot of them just don't even care anymore. Like to the point where they just expect it to happen. They do all they can to block it, but it's like it's just going to happen. It's like we're just going to roll the punches, right?
Yeah,
just
I
change
think
servers.
I think if you're streaming, you just have to expect that sort of stuff is going to happen, and not like if you want to play for serious, like if you're in an event that you need it for rankings or something, you probably don't want to stream.
Don't stream it. Yeah, I mean, it's similar to StarCraft. A lot of people don't. A lot of pros do not stream because they are essentially revealing strategies. Replays in Korea are very closely guarded secrets, to the fact where if replay, it actually is a scandal for that to happen because you can do so much with a replay to learn your opponent's style. So yeah, you just don't stream. It's a work hazard, you know. And if anything, I think the bigger problem is DDoSing right now, as opposed to stream sniping is annoying. DDoSing basically cuts off your method of making money if you have to be a professional streamer, and you have to take a lot of things against that really. And there are precautions you can take.
DDoSing is a big problem.
Yeah, the problem is it's too easy to do. You sign up to some shitty site and you can just press a button if you have the IP address, and unfortunately Skype allows you to access that very easily. So don't use Skype.
Yeah, you've even seen it becoming a problem in professional gaming where people will DDoS teams that they don't like and make it so they can't play in their matches, which is another way that they make money. So.
Yeah, we have tournaments every weekend, and for a while it was a big problem. And fortunately, all the teams now are
less savvy to get around that.
But it was a problem.
And my second question is aimed directly at TotalBiscuit.
Oh dear.
Do you have a moment to talk about our Lord and Savior Vanu?
You need to get out here right now.
We've talked a lot about what streaming is going to evolve into as it develops more, but my question to you, or it's really a two-part question, but a question I have to you is, how do you think the viewers will adapt as streaming becomes more and more mainstream and more well-known? How do you think the viewers are going to develop both in the chat and just your general viewership?
Well, here's my game idea if anyone wants to build it. I'm really surprised no one has integrated viewer involvement with the game more. So think about a gladiator-based game where the viewers are actually somehow influencing what's happening in the field. Or if I had the Hunger Games IP and I could send in like a care package, that'd be awesome for you to play.
Why the hell has that not been done yet?
No. So you guys can feel free to go and build it because I'm busy with Smite right now. But I actually think, well, you look at Salty Bets that's going on, right? I mean, things like that, things that where the game or the meta around the game is kind of incorporating the viewership with what's actually happening, whether it's one way or two-way or side bets. I think that's one cool angle.
Yeah, I mean, it's the idea of investment from the viewer. It's beyond just watching the game. If you're involved in some side way with the game, that's a powerful thing. You know, there's a reason why people sit watching Salty Bet all day, because even though they're earning no money whatsoever, their virtual currency is valuable to them. And there's this whole culture surrounding it, and it brings up its own in-jokes, and everyone's kind of having a good time. And I think it is an interesting model for involvement in real games to go forward.
Yeah.
And the second part of the question is, going off the viewership thing, is there anything that, especially in the chat, that your viewers can do to really annoy you? That, like, things you just want them to stop
Why would
doing?
we tell you that?
Well, I'd say the most obvious one is just backseat gaming.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
the most common thing that I see is people just trying to tell you what to do, or even it's funny because you appreciate them trying to help. At least from my perspective, I appreciate the people trying to help. At the same time, you're cheapening the experience for the broadcaster as well as other people in the chat. So.
Yeah, backseat gaming isn't as much of a problem for me. The one that I don't like is the shout-out spamming. People constantly spamming like for shout-outs. Like, give me a shout-out.
Say my name.
And, like, I had to like make some people that were sort of there from the beginning mods. Like the only thing you have to do is ban people that are constantly spamming for shout-outs.
I don't like when I log off and I'm like, hey, go check out this other channel, and then the viewers go to that channel and then like spam it. They're like, hey, they told us to raid you. And I'm like, no, I
No,
fucking
we
didn't.
didn't.
I told you to go watch.
Yeah, we get a lot of that. I mean, it's on YouTube as well. You even like a video, and then the top comment will be X sent me here. It's like, please don't do that. It's very, very obnoxious. I know most people mean well when they say, hey, you know, I want to give credit to the person that sent me to this video, but then it turns into memes, and it's like, hey, we're part of some army that came to invade you. It's like, just shut up. It's insufferable. You know, act like reasonable human beings. That's yeah, that's pretty annoying. But
Those are little human beings on the internet.
I know I'm asking too much. The technology just isn't there yet. Very, very good at watching card games. And then there are people that are good at playing them, and then there are people who would be really great at playing them if only they had beta access, you know. But they will, a lot of them will say, oh, you know, you should have done this play, you should have done that play. Maybe they're not privy to your strategy beyond what's simply in your hand. And maybe you didn't want to play that card because you want to lose it, you want to use it later. And then they make arguments on that kind of subject. It can be pretty annoying. And since you have so many people there, it's impossible to take advice from the chat, because most of it's wrong. And it would be a bad idea.
Alright, super quick guys, we're running out of time, so these will be the last three. Super quick.
You probably already addressed this question, but how do you break into streaming? I've heard things about being unique, putting yourself out there. I stream, it's one of what TV said, it's really horrible, it's really horribly put out there. I have literally 2 scenes in OBS. And
well, that's more than most people have, so.
And I try to do off-the-wall things, but yeah, what was
The biggest recommendation I've got is whenever I see the rise of a streamer, it is 90% of the time on the back of a new IP. So it will be a new game has come out, lots of people, or is coming, lots of people wish to consume that game, so they will look for someone that they like watching. This is why, I mean, Crypt, for instance, for Hearthstone, already had a fan base because he's a professional streamer, that's pretty much what he does. But Trump didn't, not before Hearthstone. And suddenly Trump's massive rise, where he's basically the top 3 Hearthstone streamer, is because he was good at the game, he was calm, he was teaching, he was entertaining, and people want to watch Hearthstone right now. And as sad as it sounds, the way that a lot of people break into streaming is they bandwagoned on top of something that was looking popular, or they predicted would become popular, and they were good at doing it. And then they gained their popularity that way, and they can maintain it by streaming other titles, and just then people get in, they got in to watch the game, and now they get in to watch them.
Yeah, I think on top of also finding the next big thing, it's sort of reaching out in every space that you can reach out in. So like, even if you're like, oh, Twitter's lame, like get a Twitter and like post every time you're doing a stream, and like even like posting your VODs on YouTube, especially if like you're doing off the wall stuff and it's entertaining. Like some people will find you on YouTube, and even if you only get 50 views on the video, that's 50 people that weren't on Twitch that saw it, and they're like, oh, maybe I should try to watch a stream on Twitch. So it's just sort of reaching out.
That was the one thing I found annoying, that Twitch suddenly stopped automatically recording videos.
Yeah, you can turn that back on, especially if you're a partner. Sorry.
I streamed Wednesday, and then I found that out. I was like,
yeah, that. One thing I would say about your VODs as well, and I've said this to anyone that streams, YouTube videos and Twitch streams are different kinds of content, and people that fail generally try and do the same kind of content on both, yeah? So if you have a piece of content that you made on stream, try and turn it into something that's more YouTube friendly. No one wants to watch you play a game for 3 hours uncut on there, but edit a funny highlights reel, and maybe that's a little bit easier. And you can do it incredibly easily now. You cut your highlights to Twitch, export them to, you don't even need to use a video editor. You can use YouTube's own video editor to make that highlights reel. Try that, because then you can drive traffic to and from.
And if you have an editing software, just throw, at the end, just throw your Twitch address up there, and then that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was just curious if there's any particular piece of content or games that you specifically see a higher volume of viewers with. Like, for instance, if I stream a game, 2 to 3 people. If I stream the Ludum Dare, 40 to 50 people. So, just curious.
For me, I've noticed, I think people just like watching me be afraid. If I stream scary games, everyone just loves watching me get frightened by things. So I've noticed that I get the most viewers when I do that. I've tried to build up, so Dota is sort of the game that I really go to. So I've sort of built an audience up by playing it repeatedly, but yeah, scary games, people love watching me stream and stuff.
Yeah, for me it's kind of random. I mean, it's, again, like State of Decay, I had 100 people at once. I'll play Minecraft. But when I want to play these games. First and foremost, as I mentioned before, you know, I mean, 10 to 15 people, you know, for me, it's all over the place. My only focus is I play the game I want to play, or Outlast, you know. Maybe when I try to get the heart rate monitor in there, you know, add a little bit extra flavor. It's like, okay, you really are scared. It's like, you're not playing around.
I'm surprised why people don't do that, actually. It was done in esports tournament once, DreamHack a couple of years ago, and it was very effective.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so steal that idea.
Yeah, do that.
In my experience, the most I've ever had on a non-tournament stream was SimCity with 37,000 concurrents. And that was in the beta when people just wanted to consume information about it. On a general basis, it'll be whatever's kind of got a bit of an edge at the time. Streaming, if I stream Hearthstone now, I'll get more than I would streaming Dota or StarCraft. I'll still get respectable numbers on those other games, but if it's new, there's more interest in it. If it's bad, there's even more interest in it. Ride to Hell Retribution, another a great example of an awful video game, but a good stream, because people heard about how terrible it was and they wanted to experience it. And, oh look, there's a stream. This is a perfect way to find someone ripping on this game for 2 hours and watching them suffer through it. So.
Well, if I can add a second part to that question, I also noticed there's that disparity between I'm trying to be entertaining playing the game, whereas when I'm coding the Ludum there, I'm barely saying anything unless I'm responding to chat, yet I have a lot more people watching me. Have you noticed that too? Any type of disparity there?
I think anytime you can find that you are delivering something that's unique or appeals to a niche audience, you're going to find more people than trying to appeal to the common masses. Because like if you're just appealing to everybody with something that everyone else is doing, chances are there's somebody that's already doing it better. And so, like, why would they go watch this channel when they can watch somebody that they know already that has been doing this for a while? So, like, going from a unique angle becomes really important. And so anywhere you can find that, like, that's the real secret for just streaming and YouTube and just getting out on the internet at all, really, in my opinion.
Cool, thank you.
Looking at the future of streaming as a viewer, as a streamer, I was interested in the producer idea. I was wondering if there's any new software, especially with the XSplit beta and whatnot, that lets you, I'm sorry to draw Madden into this, but do the Madden draw boards and, like, especially for League of Legends streams, like, see Lee Sin jump across something, jump back into something, hit somebody over, and things blow up. And I had no idea what happened. I wondered if they had, like, things into the development now that you can actually draw through, show what happens.
You can do it. It's more difficult. You often have to do some gnarly screen region stuff to get that to work. Like, it would be beautiful if that was built into the client. There's some like custom maps for StarCraft that let you do it, but it's not built into StarCraft itself, and it's not built into XSplit. But you're talking about Telestrator stuff. I mean, it would be great if there was a plugin for XSplit, and in theory that should be entirely possible. But as far as I know, it doesn't currently exist.
Yeah, especially, I mean, lots of people just have like a Waco tablet, or just a tablet in general. I mean, there's a way to like you can just connect your tablet to your PC and do that.
Yeah.
That'll be, I can think of some weird ways that involve taking a green screen Photoshop screen on your second monitor and chroma keying it onto the top layer and having a drawing over that. You could do that, but at that point you've got to wonder, what the hell am I doing with my life?
I'm going to require the producer part.
Well, if you can do that as a caster as well, then I am impressed with you.
Thank you. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for coming out. We are clearing the room for whatever the next panel is.